You gave them everything, your loyal heart, quiet sacrifices, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, they would change. But in the end, all you got was emptiness, betrayal, and a question that still haunts you. How could the person I loved be the one who destroyed me? If you've ever been manipulated, drained, and discarded by a narcissist as if you never mattered, this video is for you. And no, we're not talking about toxic revenge. We're talking about rising, freedom, and the kind of silent power they'll never recover from. You want them to suffer? Let them suffer from the weight of your absence. You want them to feel pain? Let it come from losing the one thing they'll never control again, you. In today's video, you're going to discover powerful, deeply psychological ways to make the narcissist regret you forever, to feel that burn, that loss, that haunting truth that they let go of someone they'll never replace. So hit that subscribe button right now if you're on a healing journey, reclaiming your self-worth, and ready to take your voice back. Stay with me, because what's coming next is raw, real, and deeply transformative. Part 1. The narcissist's deepest pain. When you're the one who walks away first. It's not the yelling. It's not revenge. What makes a narcissist suffer the most is when you go silent and disappear as if they never existed. They thought you'd chase them. They believed that no matter what they did, you would come back, because they made you emotional dependent through sweet words, emotional cycles, moments of love bombing followed by cold withdrawal. But when you vanish without warning, when you don't cry, don't scream, don't explain, you break the script they thought they were controlling. A narcissist doesn't actually care about you, they care about your reaction. Your anger, that supply. Your pain, that proves they still have power. Even your hatred is confirmation that they still matter. But you know what drives them mad? Indifference, no reaction, no emotion, no engagement they can twist or manipulate. And that is the deepest punishment of all. When you walk away while they still think they have a grip on you, you humiliate them inside the illusion they built. When they're still in the love-bombing phase, trying to win you over with faked kindness and charm, and you reject it, walk away, cut all ties. You don't just leave. You strip them of their last illusion of control. They don't understand why you left when everything seemed fine, because in their mind there are only two options. They discard you, or you beg them to stay. But you did what they never anticipated. You chose yourself. You chose peace over chaos, truth over performance. You walked away, not in hatred, but in clarity. And that's what destroys them. No grand goodbye, no emotional drama, no closure, just silence, and the sight of your back never turning round again. They'll try to pull you back in. The hoovering begins. Texts, calls, fake apologies, promises to change, maybe even desperate pleas like, "I can't live without you," or threats like, "If you leave, I'll hurt myself." But you know the pattern. You don't engage. You're no longer a character in their play. And once they realize they no longer control your emotions, part of their ego collapses. They might put on a strong face, post happy pictures with someone new, spread rumors, paint you as crazy, disloyal, unstable, but beneath the surface is a crack that won't heal. You, the person they thought would always belong to them, left, and they can't do a damn thing about it. Part 2. When they use flying monkeys to smear you and deny the truth. When you go silent, when you pull away, when you're no longer a puppet in their game of manipulation, they don't just let go. Narcissists don't know how to lose quietly. They need a story, a justification, a version of truth where they're the victim and you're the villain. This is when they unleash one of their most dangerous weapons. The flying monkey. Flying monkeys are friends, family, co-workers, anyone naive or vulnerable enough to be manipulated. The narcissist uses them as messengers, spies, or public relations tools to either drag you back in or destroy your reputation if you refuse to comply. They begin a smear campaign. They're the real problem. "I tried everything, but she/he just turned cold." They've been damaged from the past. I only wanted to help. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And people who don't know better or don't know the full story believe it. They'll message you, question you, even shame you. How could you treat them like that? They're devastated. Don't you care? This is the trap many survivors fall into. They return to explain, to clear things up, to protect their image. But here's the truth you must remember. The narcissist isn't looking for truth. They're looking for control. And if you speak up, they twist your words. If you stay silent, they twist your silence. No matter what you do, they'll reframe it in a way that suits their narrative. So don't explain, don't justify, don't pause your healing just to correct a story that was never told in good faith. The best way to make a narcissist suffer isn't with words, but by letting them drown in the lies they created while having zero access to you. When they see you no longer reacting, not defending, not justifying, not visibly hurt, they panic because their entire strategy of using flying monkeys to destabilize you has completely failed. They want you angry. They want you defensive. They want you to return with emotion so they can regain control. But you don't come back. You don't care about the gossip. You no longer live for their approval or anyone else's. You're living for yourself. And that is the deepest wound for a narcissist. Not that you hurt them, but that you no longer need them. Not their praise, not their recognition, not their validation, just your own truth and peace. And as they repeat their story to the flying monkeys, they will keep saying your name like a wound that won't heal, because they know you walked away with your head held high. And no lie they spin can replace the truth of that. Part 3. When they attack the ones you love. After you've left, without tears, without drama, without turning back, you might think it's over. But for the narcissist, the nightmare has only just begun. They cannot stand the fact that you're still living, still loving, still smiling without them. And when they find out that you're rebuilding your life, especially if you found a new healthy relationship, they react like they've been betrayed, not because they love you, but because you dared to be loved by someone else while they still haven't found a replacement for your supply. So they try to destroy that love. They might text your new partner sharing chaotic stories from your past. They might pretend to be concerned, warning your partner that you're unstable, unfaithful, or worse, spinning entire lies from thin air. Their goal isn't to win you back, it's to drag you down, to sabotage the peace you fought so hard to earn. A narcissist can't stand to see you loved, because to them, loving you was a privilege they lost. And if they can't have you, then no one else should. They may also go after your friends, your family. They'll plant doubts, spread rumors, or pretend to confide in those closest to you to make them question who you really are. And it's not accidental. It's a calculated strategy to isolate you, destroy your support system, and lure you back into their trap. But do you know what hurts them the most? It's not the smear campaign. It's the fact that you don't react. You still love. You still trust. You still live. Not because of them, but despite them. Every time they see you post a happy photo, share a peaceful moment, or even just smile at someone new, they feel their old power crumbling. So, in retaliation, they might rush into a new relationship. They'll flaunt it publicly, stage happiness, maybe even get engaged or married quickly. But know this, they don't love the new person. They're just acting in a performance. And the audience is you. When you don't watch, don't respond, don't care, their stage collapses. The more you remain calm, stay grounded, and live honestly, the more they suffer, not because you want them to, but because your existence no longer revolves around them. They are no longer the center of your universe. And to a narcissist, that is the ultimate humiliation. Part 4. When they start stalking you to reclaim control. A narcissist never lets go easily. When you've blocked them, vanished off the radar and started living a life that no longer revolves around them, they're not just angry, they become obsessed. They cannot accept that they no longer control your emotions, and so begins a quiet but dangerous phase. They start watching you. It's not always about showing up at your door or stalking your workplace. In today's digital age, they can stalk you silently and invisibly. They watch your stories, create fake accounts to follow you, send friend requests under false names, track who you interact with, analyze every picture, every caption, every comment. You might not know it, but they're there, in the shadows, watching, jealous, bitter, because you're okay. To a narcissist, your peaceful life after them is an unspeakable insult. They want to see you broken, crying, regretting, begging to come back, but instead you're at peace, rebuilding, free, and that drives them insane. Some narcissists take it even further. They try to accidentally reappear in your life. They show up at familiar cafes, send a "just checking on you" message. Ask mutual friends about you. Don't be surprised if they know who you're dating, what you're doing, or where you just traveled. They're collecting data like a disturbed stalker, not because they love you, but because they need to feel like they still have control. And when they realize that even knowing everything about your life doesn't give them access to your heart anymore, that's when their pain deepens. The truth is, you don't need to seek revenge on a narcissist. You just need to live a life that they no longer influence, a life with no room for manipulation, no room for distorted nostalgia, no space for toxic comebacks. When they can't control you directly, they'll try to control you indirectly, through mutual friends, through social media, through gossip. But it's all powerless if you hold your emotional boundaries firm. No reaction, no explanation, no opening old doors again. You have the right to choose who belongs in your life, and you've chosen not them. A narcissist will never accept that truth, but it's exactly that inability to accept reality that will make them suffer forever. They were left behind not because you ran faster, but because you stopped running after them. Part 5. When they threaten to hurt themselves, the final move to pull you back. When all other tactics fail, playing the victim, smearing your name, silently stalking you, the narcissist may resort to their most dangerous weapon, threatening self-harm. Not because they genuinely want to end their life, not because your absence has truly broken them, but because they know you still have a heart. They know that if they can trigger your guilt, even just a little, you might turn back. I can't live without you. If you don't answer, I'll do something drastic. You were the only reason I kept going. It sounds like a cry for help, but it's actually a calculated emotional manipulation, a sharp strike at your compassion, something they know you have in abundance. The narcissist isn't looking for healing. They're looking to regain control through pity, and if you return, they feel victorious, not because they are loved, but because they've proven they still own you, not with affection, but with fear. Worse still, if you don't respond, they may use your silence as ammunition, telling friends that you're cold-hearted, telling family that you knew, but painting the picture that they're falling apart because of you. They cast you as the heartless one, while they're the ones who abused, gaslit, and manipulated. Here's what you need to understand. You are not responsible for another person's choices, especially someone who has weaponized your kindness against you. Compassion does not mean allowing yourself to be used. Empathy does not require you to forget the pain they inflicted. If you're genuinely concerned, you can recommend professional help, a hotline, a therapist, resources, but do not allow yourself to be dragged back into their chaos just because you care. Remember this: the narcissist isn't suffering because they lost you. They're suffering because they lost control over you. Because now, even when they cry, beg, or threaten, you're not coming back. And that is what truly breaks them. Not the loss of love, but the loss of power. Part 6. When you completely disappear. Silence is the narcissist's life sentence. No more texts, no goodbyes, no peeking at their stories, no looking back, just gone. To the outside world, it may seem like a personal choice, but to the narcissists, it's a living nightmare. Because narcissists don't just crave love, they crave attention, reaction, and the knowledge that they still occupy space in your mind. And when you go fully silent, no explanations, no arguments. They don't know how to process it. They thought you'd need closure, that you'd leave the door open for a final conversation, that you wouldn't stay silent for long. Because that's what they're used to. That's how they controlled others before you, and it always worked. But this time, it's different. You're silent, and you're not coming back. Your silence isn't just a strategy, it's a declaration. I've awakened. I see the whole picture now. I'm no longer trying to heal anyone but myself. To a narcissist, silence is the most brutal punishment, not because you're hurting them, but because you no longer make them the center of your universe. They're no longer the reason you cry, no longer the one you wait for, no longer the subject of messages you type and delete. You have disappeared, and nothing hurts a narcissist more than not existing in your mind anymore. They may try to compensate, flaunt a new love, post flashy pictures, put on the image of thriving, but it's all performance, a stage play with no audience. They act for you to see, but you're no longer watching. They're enraged because you're unaffected. And then comes the emptiness. Your silence begins to echo in their mind like a hollow room, no feedback, no reaction. And in that silence, they are finally forced to face the one thing they've always avoided, themselves. With no one to manipulate, no one to blame, no one to reflect their illusion, the narcissist finally sees the emptiness within. You didn't hurt them with revenge. You didn't use cruel words. You simply left, peacefully. And that, quiet, undramatic, and final, is the ending that haunts them forever. Part 7. When you live, love, and shine. The final blow they never recover from. Not every ending needs to be loud. Not every revenge needs fire or fury. Sometimes true victory is simply living a life they can no longer touch, physically, emotionally, or energetically. When you start to genuinely smile again, when your eyes no longer search for someone unworthy, when you sleep deeply without the past haunting you, the narcissist feels it, and it crushes them. They can't stand the thought of you being happy, unless that happiness came from them. In their twisted mind, you're only allowed to shine if they're the source, or at least the reason you changed. If you succeed, they want credit for helping you grow. If you love someone new, they convince themselves you're just trying to replace them. If you look joyful, they'll say it's fake, that you're putting on a mask. Because if you're truly okay, then their entire belief system falls apart. In the narcissist world, they must be the center. They must be the cause. They must be the one you never get over. So when you glow without them, when you love without referencing them, when you succeed without replying to their unread messages, that's the moment they realize they've lost forever. Not because you destroyed them, but because they no longer have any place in your story. And to a narcissist, that is the ultimate humiliation. You don't need to retaliate. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to show them what pain feels like. You only need to live, love, shine. Not to prove anything, but because that's what you deserve. Your recovery is the proof they no longer hold power. Your peace is a fortress they will never break through. And your silent, dignified existence is the final statement that says, you don't have to destroy someone who's already erased themselves from your future. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need revenge to feel justice. You don't need to prove anything to the person who broke you, because you've already won, just not in a way the narcissist could ever comprehend. Victory is not when they suffer, not when they apologize, not when they come crawling back for another chance. Victory is when you no longer need them to feel whole. They will never understand how you can live peacefully without them. They will never accept that you moved on without a backward glance. And they will never believe that your silence wasn't punishment, it was freedom. You stepped out of the cycle of pain. You've closed the chapter that wasn't worthy of your story, not with rage, but with clarity. And that's what hurts them most, not that you left, but that they can't pull you back in. If you're on the path of healing, know this: you are not alone. There are millions reclaiming their lives from the grip of narcissistic control, and you, yes, you, could be the light someone else needs to escape their own darkness. If this video spoke to your soul, hit subscribe now. Let's heal together, let's rise together, and let's move forward without carrying pain that never belonged to us. You survived, and now it's time for you to truly live.